Good morning, boys and girls. So I'm sure you've all noticed all of the Zoom links on our Schoology pages. Well, we are actually going to start those today. Most of you, if you are doing this after your reading Zoom meeting, have already been to your reading Zoom meeting that started between 9 and 10. If this is before, then you will have a Zoom meeting, but sometime between 9 and 10, your teacher should have communicated that time with you. Um, then there are different times for each subject in between 10 and 12. For math, we are going to start our Zooms on Friday, and I will let you know if you need to join that math Zoom with me, okay? I'm going to be working with a couple of different people each day on certain math skills. If you're struggling with a math skill, you need to let me know so that I know and I can pull you and we can work on that skill together. Then from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you should have seen a help desk Zoom link in your reading page. That link is going to be where all of the fifth grade teachers are on Zoom together, and we are there to answer any questions that you have to ask for us. It'll be Miss Fields, Miss Hudson, myself, and Mr. Dooley. So any subject that you have a question in, hop on from 1 to 2, and you can feel free to ask us questions there. We are there to help you guys. But with all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into today's lesson, and that is comparing fractions. So you can see we have a problem, we have a blank, and then we have a fraction. You have to tell me if 2/3 times 2 is greater than 2/3, less than 2/3, or equal to 2/3. And this is going to be your three options for all four of the problems that we're going to do together today. So let's think about this. If we have 2 and we are multiplying it by 2/3, so we want 2/3 of 2, is that going to be greater than, less than, or equal to 2/3? It's going to be greater than, right? 2/3 times 2 will be greater than 2/3. So the way that we can think about that is that we are multiplying a fraction by a whole number, which is greater than 1. So since we are comparing this answer to 2/3, we know that it's going to be larger, right? Because we are multiplying 2/3 by a whole number greater than 1. So our answer is going to be greater than 2/3. And if you actually solve this, you would have 2 times 2 is 4, and your denominator would stay 3 because you could put 2 over 1. And we do know that 4/3 is greater than 2/3. Okay? We have 3/5 times 4/7, and we are comparing it to 4/7. I want you to take a guess. Do you think that 3/5 times 4/7 is going to be greater than, less than, or equal to 4/7? So I want you to think. 4/7 is multiplied by a number that is less than 1. So if 3/5 times 4/7 is going to be greater than or less than 4/7? It's going to be less than, right? This answer is going to be less than 4/7. You are multiplying 3/5 by a number that is less than 1. So it is going to be less than 4/7. And you can actually solve it to see. 3 times 4 would give you 12. 5 times 7 would give you 35. And then I'm actually going to change this on this side to have a common denominator so that I can compare. I know that 7 actually does go into 35, so 35 will be my common denominator. And to get from 7 to 35, I multiplied by 5. So 4 times 5 would be 20. And 12 over 35 is less than 20 over 35. Because if you think of starting with 4/7, right? Because we have 4/7 on both sides, this side is being multiplied by a number smaller than 1. So your answer is going to be less than your original 4/7. And I just solved those problems and then made common denominators so you could actually compare. But you actually don't have to solve the problems. Just like in our first one, 2/3 was multiplied by 2 on our left side, but it wasn't multiplied by anything on the right side. So we know that the side multiplied by 2 is going to be greater. In our second problem, 4/7 was multiplied by 3/5, which is less than 1. So we know that our number is going to get smaller. Let's look at this third one. 1/9 times 1 compared to 1/9. Well, what is anything times 1? It's just itself. So these are actually going to be equal to each other, right? Give me 1 second, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. So we had 1/9 times 1 was equal to 1/9 because anything times 1 is itself. So let's look at this last one. 6/12 times 2/2, and we have to compare it to 6/12. Well, this is being multiplied by a fraction, but what does 2/2 equal? It just equals 1, right? So that one was a little tricky, but really it's just 6/12 times 1, and we have it equal to 6/12. Okay, so let's review really quick. If you have a fraction times a whole number greater than 1, it's going to be greater than that fraction itself. Okay, what if in this one we had the number 2 over here? What if we had 2/3 times 2 and compared it to 2? Well, then you would start with your number 2 and say you were multiplying 2 because 2 is on both sides, right? And this side, 2 is being multiplied by a fraction, which is less than 1. So it would actually change to less than if you were comparing 2. But when we were comparing that fraction, we were multiplying by a whole number, right? You always start with the fraction or whole number that is on both sides of the equation. And then you look, if you're multiplying by a fraction, it's going to be less than. If you're multiplying by a whole number, it's going to be greater than. And if you're multiplying by 1, it's going to be equal to. Great job, guys. So you have a short assignment below this, and we will have a math Zoom meeting tomorrow. But if you do have any questions, make sure that you message me on Schoology, and I can't wait to see you guys.